time again for snowmobiling, and with the pandemic, certainly people looking for something fun to do outside these days. So here with the first of a special two-part series, attorney Tom Sinus of Sinus Dramus Law Firm joining us today to talk about what you need in order to get ready to head out on a snowmobile. Tom, thanks for joining us. I guess first and foremost, let's talk about some of the basic paperwork and the requirements for running a snowmobile.
Great place to start, because there are a few of these little things to get in order before you head out. The first is registration. Snowmobiles need to be registered, and the registration needs to be displayed specifically on the snowmobile. It's got to be displayed on each side of the forward half of the cowl above the footwell. Secondly, if you're going to operate your snowmobile on a snowmobile trail, you got to get a trail permit. The trail permit is different, of course, than the registration. The registration is good for 3 years. Trail permit is good for a year. Trail permit also has to be displayed on the snowmobile. And here, the trail permit needs to be displayed above or below the headlight. And then finally, there's the issue of a license. Now, if you're a licensed Michigan driver, that's enough to be able to lawfully drive a snowmobile. If, on the other hand, you have a suspended or revoked license, you're not allowed to drive. What about children? Well, children between the ages of 12 and 17, generally, they should have a safety certificate. They don't necessarily have to have one if they're going to be supervised by an adult over 21, but if they're going to cross the road, they do. So it's the best practice for a child between the age of 12 and 17 to have a safety certificate, in addition, of course, to the registration and the trail permit.
Let's talk about some equipment standards, Tom. Are there some that you have to have?
There are actually a lot, and I encourage people to go online. The state has a lot of great resources here, but let's start with a few basic ones. Brakes. Of course, you have to have brakes, right? But you actually have to have a specific kind of braking system that will now allow the snowmobile to stop not more than 40 feet when it's going 20 miles per hour for an operator who weighs 175 pounds or more. What about helmets? Well, we do have a very specific rule. All passengers and riders of snowmobiles in Michigan have to wear helmets, and they're not just any old helmet, but they have to be helmets that are approved by the Department of Transportation. So a specific kind of helmet for every driver and every passenger. On top of that, you've got to have working headlights and tail lights, and they have to be displayed at all times during the operation. And like I said, there are a lot of other equipment requirements. Those are some of the important ones, but I encourage people to go research the information that the state puts out, because it gives a lot of very helpful guidance.
People have some questions, Tom. I know we're going to have more on this coming up in the following week, but people have questions on this right now. Where do they find you?
They can find us online at www.sinusdramus.com. You can shoot us an email at info@sinusdramus.com, or give us a call in West Michigan, 616-301-3333.
All right. Thanks as always, Tom.
Thanks, Derek.